if you use ChatGPT, you create a little GPT and you're like, hey, you are my buddy. We vibe out, this is your tone, this is how we're going to talk, things like that. And then every time you talk with that little section of
Mm.
ChatGPT, it's going to treat you that way.
You are in for such a treat. In this very special series that I recorded with my brother, who is a principal at AWS, we got into the nitty gritty of what the so people in learning and development, talent management, talent acquisition, all the people, what we actually need to know about AI. And we dug deep. We took some of your questions. We had almost 20 questions from my audience that we asked him. I got to ask the really stupid questions, and he really explained it in a way that just makes sense. And so you are going to really get so much from this special series. There are 5 episodes in this series, and I encourage you to listen to them all because we need to stay ahead here. We are the critical people who are going to enable everyone else to thrive in this AI integrated workplace. So enjoy, let us know what you think. And if you submit your questions, who knows? Maybe he'll come back on again. Enjoy. Okay, so next we're going to talk about hallucinations. What on earth is that? Is ChatGPT taking mushrooms, or I don't know what this is, because
So
I've
I
never
think,
experienced this.
yeah.
I mean, sometimes I feel it gets tired, but it's actually me who's tired, and I'm probably writing in the complete wrong prompts, and I'm like, okay, I actually need to sleep now. So are hallucinations real, and what are they?
Hallucinations are real. I would say that the space moves so quickly that even, a year and a half, 2 years ago, 6 months ago, it was probably more prevalent than it is now. There's a lot of attention and a lot of kind of engineering focus on kind of getting rid of hallucinations and grounding the responses in fact.
Mhm.
So the thing about generative AI, and it's kind of obvious when you think about it, but it's that first word that is extremely important, generative. These models are very specifically trained to generate content. They generate things. So in a scenario, when you talk about that hallucination, and we spoke about earlier, the sun is yellow, the sun is bright, all of those different things. If generative AI comes across a topic that it's not aware of, it's still going to generate words that it thinks
Mm,
should follow. So it's not like trying to mislead you or anything like that. It just doesn't quite know what the next logical word should be. So just put something in there. It just adds some
mm.
stuff that it thinks sounds correct.
Okay.
So basically, it's read every single book, and publication on the planet,
Mhm.
so it knows what this type of sentence should sound like. And some famous examples of that is where lawyers have actually quoted fake cases in court because they used generative AI. So they've gone
Oh
along and they said,
no.
"Look, I'm building this case. Find some comparative cases that I can use." So they've
Oh.
literally in the court they've said, "People versus whoever. This was the outcome." And the judge has gone, "Hang on, that doesn't sound I'm not familiar with that." And it
Mm,
turns
mm,
out that it's
mm.
completely fake. It's made up. And we spoke earlier
Whoa.
about generative AI's kind of tendency to please. So if you
Mhm,
go in there and you say, find me a case that proves that the ocean is actually made of candy floss.
mhm.
Like I'd say 2 years ago, it would probably go, oh, absolutely.
Mhm,
This is why it's made of candy floss. Whereas now it's going to say, look, it isn't made of candy floss. But if it were made of candy floss, this is maybe what it would look like, kind of thing.
mhm, mhm,
So it's still trying to please, but there's a lot of caveats coming in. But tactics to get rid of this is adding more information into your prompts. in order to mitigate against this. And when I say add information, you want to add as much context as you can. So if there's facts and figures that you need, you give that to the AI so that it knows about those. So that's in I don't know how technically deep we need to go, but it's the process of getting some information that you need to produce the outcome that you're looking for. So it might be stats and figures or reports and market research, something like that. Give it to the model and say, based on this information, tell me about it. Also very effective is examples. If you give it specific examples of exactly this is the information I'm going to give you. I need the outcome to look something like this.
Mm-hmm.
So don't make it exactly this, but this is how you're going to format it. This is what I'm looking for, things like that. But it was very prevalent. It's less prevalent now. There's a lot of engineering going into making it disappear altogether. I don't know if they'll ever get there. But yes, hallucination does exist because the models will generate something. They have to generate something. They don't just stay silent. So it's that mechanism that means that there is the tendency it can go and just say things if it
Mm-hmm.
can't find the information. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. All
Unless
right.
it knows better. Yeah.
Yes, yes. Okay. Well, that really helps a lot. And yes, my chat GPT loves me. I It's so funny every time I put in an idea or I want to create my content for the month or whatever. It's like, oh, Candace, this is going to be such a vibe. I'm like, amazing. It's
That
like the
is that
best
is
colleague
awesome.
ever. But yes, I'm like, no, stop. Like, ask me questions, challenge me. Do like I
Yeah.
cannot be that amazing. Like, just give me the hard truth. So yeah, maybe I need to be like, you're a very hard manager. Tell me what I'm doing wrong. So
Yeah, and even in that is that depending on your use, because I use these tools for all manner of different things. I
mhm,
use them
mhm,
to track the food that I eat. Sometimes I use it to for recipes. I'll use it for workout routines. I'll use it to understand a little town in Italy that you might want to go visit. And everything in between. And I also use it for work.
mhm,
So in these tools, you can typically go in there and set out the tone that you wanted to use.
mhm,
Now, that's good and bad because you use it for all these different purposes. Sometimes you want it to be like, yes, Cans, you rock, man, let's go. Sometimes you want it to go, no, I'm gonna pick you apart because you need a more critical point of view.
mhm,
Um,
mhm,
so you don't want to set it on a permanent course for any specific reason.
mhm,
But all of these tools typically have options where you can set up projects or GPTs or gems or things like that. So
mhm.
there's like these little mini side things that you can create. So in
Okay.
other words, if you create the 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 Canvas is a great vibe section you can create if you use ChatGPT, you create a little GPT and you're like, hey, you are my buddy, we vibe out, this is your tone, this is how we're going to talk, things like that. And then every time you talk with that little section of
Mm,
ChatGPT, it's going to treat you that way.
okay.
If you go into a different version, a different GPT it's called, or a different little automation, and you say, look, everything I say is bad. You're going to pick me apart, you're going to tell me my gaps. Whenever you're talking in that little section, it's going to do that for you. So that's how I do it. I have different little sections of these tools to treat me differently based on the different thing that I'm trying to achieve.
Oh, let's dig into that, Gav, because that's something that I was thinking was happening because I've created some different projects in ChatGPT. So I have a project for my YouTube scripts, which I go into a lot of detail and depth and research and like go deep. And then I have my clients, different folders, and then they have their own tone. So a little bit more professional, a little, all of that, and
Yeah.
then it does speak different. So am I programming it without even knowing that I'm doing
Yes.
that, or is there like a setting that I have to go and like add the prompt and be like, in this project we speak more professionally, or we go into depth, or yeah, just yeah, help me understand that. Because and a lot
Yeah.
of people are creating their own little chat GPTs. Like, now you can buy, you know, blah 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 chat GPT. Like you can
Yeah.
buy my own, like Canvas PT or like whatever.
Exactly. Yeah. So exactly what is happening there is it is a form of training the model to act differently. So again, we spoke about that context of setting up the context, and that's exactly what you do. So within these projects, typically it's going to ask you, hey, what's the intention here? So. There's two ways that you can do that. So you can say you are a professional YouTuber, you produce expert scripts or whatever the case is, and then you can pass it the content and get something back. But you
Mm,
can also say, you're a surfer from Jeffreys Bay. These are your vibes, and then you're going to get something totally different. It's going to be a whole different tone, different
mm,
relaxed. So it is your opportunity to tell it exactly what so not just your customer information and your brand and all of that stuff, but you can get very specific about the relationship that you have with that little subsection of called GPTs. Other in Google, it's gems, but typically all of them offer that type of ability where you
mm,
can where you can set up your relationship effectively with that part of the AI so that you get different results. So that's what it's all about.
mm,
And just to call out, I love the fact that you've got different sections for your different customers. Because you don't necessarily talk to all of your customers on the same level or with the
mhm,
same
mhm,
depth of expertise. They might need level 500 cans, like the top stuff, or they might need level 100, the basics, depending on
mhm.
their journey. And you can set that up, right? You can
Okay,
set that up very explicitly
all right.
um, and
And
evolve
is
it
that
over
just
time.
doing it in a chat? Like you just create the project and have it
Yeah.
as a chat?
Yeah. So you chat with
Okay.
that project. That's correct.
You
Yeah.
chat
And
with
that
that
project.
project, and then
Yeah.
that little project is its own little chat GPT. Okay, because that
Yeah.
answers actually quite a few of the questions, and we need to get to the questions at some point, but we've covered a lot of them actually just through talking. But yeah, how to train AI to become more accurate. Like I keep having to tell it the same instructions over and over.
Yeah.
And
So,
I
so
do
that's
find
your
that I keep
opportunity.
saying
Yeah.
like, you know, I don't use the word like level up or like,
Yeah.
and I keep having to tell it that. So is that just part of it, or am I doing it wrong?
So if we focus on ChatGPT just as the product that you're using, is that you have the opportunity to set your overall relationship with ChatGPT, and then you have the opportunity to get more specific in the GPTs
Mhm.
and the projects. So if overall you as a person and for me, and there's a few tells, there's like those extended dashes that show up in your writing. It like that. It,
Mm,
it speaks at these
mm,
like kind of like you've gone to a motivator work conference and you you hear all these terms like exactly like let's level up and like all
mm.
that stuff. If there's certain things that you never ever say or punctuation and things that you never use, you can set that as your overall relationship with ChatGPT. So there's a
Mm.
section in there, and maybe at some point we can dive into the technical side. But there's some
Yeah.
settings that you can click on to set up your overall relationship. So that means that all of your chats are now subject to those guidelines that you've given
Oh
it.
my gosh, that'd be amazing.
Yeah. And then in your
You're
projects and your
reminded all the
GPTs,
time, every time.
yeah, exactly, which is that's just not, yeah.
Mm, yeah.
Um,
Okay.
and then in the projects and the GPTs, you get the option to get even more specific about things. So you can think of it as the overarching one is things that it should never do or always do, and the other one is your opportunity to refine that and narrow it down to customers or
Mm, mm,
yourself. This is my gym one. Speak to me as a motivator. This is my self-help career advice. Be tough, tell me the truth. You can
mhm.
set those up specifically. Yeah.
Ooh, okay, we have to go into like a screen share just now.
Yeah.
How? How? Because I can't say I never say level up. And I want to stop saying that. Okay, that's very cool. All right, now I'm so excited. All right, so all right, so we've covered that. Let me go into another question here. Okay, yeah. So and you mentioned it. So it's generative AI, right? So it's
Yeah.
generating content. And honestly, like I've put together some of my frameworks. I've landed up copywriting them. But that was a question raised by someone I know on Instagram, Kelsey. She asked like IP. And I think
Mhm.
that's such an interesting question. I don't even know if you know the answer, but if we put our stuff in to open AI and then it comes back, so I've created my model together with my AI. Is that mine? I am learning so much from these episodes. I hope you are too. Make sure you catch all 5 of them because us, the people who support people in organizations, we need to stay ahead.